The only thing I want is I don't want you to kill yourself. That's all I want. You know, I've had people here that I've seen come from a first time. As years pass, they just steadily decline worse and worse and worse. Mr. Harris, how are you doing? So you're charged with unlawful carrying of a weapon. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On March 3rd, 2025, at approximately 2:39 p.m., the officer conducted a business check at North Via Hotel at 16510 North Freeway in Harris County, Texas. Upon arrival, the officer spoke with a man behind the lobby desk who identified himself as the manager, and he requested the officers drive through the parking lot to make sure there wasn't anyone partaking in any illegal activities. The officer went to the parking lot and observed a vehicle in a parking space with a male in the driver's seat and a female in the rear seat. The officer exited the patrol vehicle to initiate a consensual encounter with the individuals and observed the driver window and rear driver window were lowered and could smell a strong odor of marijuana coming from inside the vehicle. The defendant, the male in the driver's seat, stated that they were in possession of marijuana. The defendant handed the officer a black plastic bag, which he stated contained marijuana. The female handed the officer a clear plastic bag of marijuana that she claimed was hers. The defendant stated he had a handgun in his left pocket, and the officer conducted a search of the defendant and located a loaded firearm, and the total marijuana recovered was 0.072 ounces.
Got it. Okay, Mr. Harris, I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward with the case. Tell me, how old are you, sir?
25.
Okay, I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to be in possession of any weapons. If I find that you have one, I will revoke your bond, put you in jail. All I want is my community safe. If I find that you pick up a new case, do anything to bring danger to my community, I only have one place for you. Do you understand? Do you have the ability to hire a lawyer? Okay, I'll have you, Deputy Edgegorn is going to give you an application. I'll take a look at it to see whether you qualify. I'll have you go to Victoria, sign a reset now. We'll have you take a seat. We'll have you sign the bond conditions, and then I'll look at your application. Please.
Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Mulatto. Sir, you're charged with assault, bodily injury. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On March 3rd, 2025, the officers dispatched to 10615 Beechnut Street in Harris County, Texas, regarding a the complainant, 15 years old, stated he and the witness were in her room having a consensual when the defendant started banging on the witness's bedroom door, and the defendant then barged into the witness's room, and the defendant found him in the closet and began assaulting him. The defendant then punched him in the face multiple times and began choking and strangling him. It was hard for the complainant to breathe, and it felt like he was going to pass out. The complainant felt pain. The witness observed the defendant grab the complainant by the neck using both of his hands and began choking and strangling the complainant. The witness attempted to stop the defendant, but the defendant threw her to the ground.
Any kind of familial relationship here?
The witness is the sister of the defendant.
No, with
And
the
then the
complainant
complainant is the boyfriend of the, or whatever relationship with the sister.
Mr. Mulatto, I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward with the case. I'm ordering you now as a condition of your bond not to have any contact with the complaining witness in this case. Do you understand? Yes or no? I don't want you to have contact with the complaining witness in this case. What is the name? Please.
Anthony Duarte.
Do you understand? You are not to have contact with Mr. Duarte. If I find that you do, I will revoke your bond, put you in jail. No more PR bonds for you. When I say no contact, I mean no contact of any means. Snapchat, social media, text messages, phone calls, smoke signals, using someone else, a third party. No means no. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
I will do everything in my power to protect every single person in this community at all costs. And if that means putting you in there at a high bond, I'm going to do it in a heartbeat. No weapons as well, sir. How old are you?
17.
You're 17. What do you do for a living, sir?
Nothing. I don't have a job. I don't have a job.
Are you in school?
Yes.
Are you in high school?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You have to be careful, man. This life is really short, and it's not fun to live in a 6x9 box because of a rash decision that you make. Once you start racking up convictions, and once you start racking up all these charges, your life is really just going to go sideways. Everyone looks at your record, from employment, schools, just everyone. And when they see a bunch of stuff on there, it's just not going to help you. This life is hard enough as it is. Life doesn't get easier the older you get. It gets harder. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm also ordering you not to consume any kind of illegal. If I find that you're smoking marijuana or anything like that, likewise, it's not going to go well for you. I'm telling you now that I'm going to test you. It's going to happen. And if I find that you're using, it's not going to go well for you. Do you understand?
Sir.
I will give you a lawyer today so we can figure out and talk about how to go forward. Do you mind reaching out to the MAC, please?
Yes, Judge.
But I don't want any more foolishness. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Felicia,
Yes, Judge.
have you got a rip done on this case?
Let me see, Your Honor.
My only concern,
We haven't yet.
yeah, do you mind? My concern is that they live in the same house as the complaining witness, is Mr. Milano.
They do, just based on a brief look into the case, the person I contacted is the complaining
Okay.
father. So I do believe they're different households.
All right, so let's do this. I'll have you talk to the lawyer here momentarily, and then we'll figure out how to go forward. All right. Do not leave until I have excused you. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, come on.
Right this way.
This way. Morning. How are you? The only thing I want is I don't want you to kill yourself. That's all I want. I've had people here that I've seen come from a first time. As years pass, they just steadily decline worse and worse and worse. The other day we had a guy here, barely even talk anymore because just ravaged because of everything. All we're trying to do is prevent that from happening. How is the big question? So with us, you have the DWI. It looks like you've picked up a new case upstairs. I have no idea what happened. I'd like to know to see how we go forward. Do you mind what happened in the new case, please?
So the new case, officers were dispatched to a Kroger's in Baytown. Law prevention told the officer that the defendant was concealing items inside her clothing and baggage. The officer detained the defendant outside the front entrance, where she provided a false name and date of birth, which turned out to belong to her sister. The defendant was arrested for an active warrant and was later searched at the Baytown jail, where they found a baggie in her bra containing 2.5 grams of methamphetamine.
You're currently, our bond is set at 1,000. You're currently held at no bond, and the case is upstairs. If you do get out, I'm going to put a monitor on your ankle because I want to know exactly where you go. If you go, I don't know. You're not to consume illegal, and I'm going to test you like crazy. Do you understand? Or it's got to stop before something major happens. Okay. So she's set for Thursday. You want to set it for Monday to see what happens upstairs?
It's fine.
Say it again.
I was going to do Tuesday, just 1 week. Okay.
Yeah. So Felicia, she's not here. Okay. All right. So please don't send her down because I need her to sign conditions. Okay. All right. Okay, Miss Ulmer. Good luck.
Thank you, Judge.
Thanks.
No.
You know, good morning, Mr. Perez.
Good morning.
Mr. Perez, you're charged with driving while intoxicated. It's elevated to a Class A misdemeanor because of the high blow. You are facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. You worked out an agreement. They're offering you 3 days in jail with credit for the 1 day that you've done. You need to understand this charge will go on your record. It will be there for the rest of your life. If you ever get pulled over again, an officer will see this. If they smell alcohol on your breath, if they smell weed on you, it's probably not going to go well. Do Do you understand?
Yes.
If
Yes.
I were you, even if you've had a sip of alcohol, I would not get into a car because it is a humongous risk, especially if you're not in this country with permission. Because if you go to jail for any more than 6 hours, immigration will get their clutches on you and then you'll be stuck like Chuck. Do you understand?
Yes.
You're giving up the right to a trial, right to compel witnesses to testify on your behalf, confront and cross-examine your accusers. If you're not a citizen, there are possible immigration consequences. You can be deported, excluded from the country, denied naturalization. You give up the right to appeal. Once you plead guilty, this will go on your record. It will be there for the rest of your life. Is it true or untrue that you had a 0.15 or above? True to the enhancement. That means from now on, you are facing a minimum of 90 days in jail for any new cases that you pick up. Minimum 90 days. How do you plead to the offense, guilty or not guilty?
Guilt.
I'm going to find you guilty. I will send you to the agreement. I am going to suspend your license for 180 days. Do not drive until you get a license. Good luck, sir.
Thank you, Judge. And Your Honor, I was appointed to this case, and I don't believe my client's energy status has changed since I've been appointed. It was about a month ago.
What do you do for a living?
¿Cómo que su oficio? ¿En qué trabaja?
El instalador de pisos.
¿Cómo?
Instalador de pisos.
Oh, floor install.
How much money do you make a
¿Qué tanto
month?
gana mensualmente? About 3,000,
3,500.
3,500 more or less.
DWI is big business in this state. There's a $1,500 surcharge that would normally apply in this case. And if you don't pay it, you go to jail 1 day for every $100 you owe. We all make mistakes. But if you continue to make the same mistake where you endanger other people's lives, I will treat you like a child. And like a child, I will put you over my knee and spank you like a little child, but it will be with a ton of jail time. Do you understand? A second DWI is a $6,000 surcharge. So you can imagine $100 per day, you will sit in custody. I will waive the fee now, but if you come back on another DWI, get ready. Do you understand?
¿Usted lo entiende?
All right.
Thank you so much.
Good luck.
And Your Honor, I have two individuals, Mr. U.S.
I don't know.
Judge, he has been on supervision for a very long time. He's been compliant while on bond. He's sat in jail for several weeks, a couple weeks. He's been monitored. He's
Actions
had a
have consequences.
curfew.
He's got 2 open DWIs. Would I?
Have a suspended driver's license. He'll have 2 DWI convictions. The next one will be a felony. I think it's an appropriate resolution, Judge. He's been gainfully employed throughout this entire course of time.
What I was thinking is perhaps like a TRAS to see if he really needs sober court, you know? This is just a basic slap on the wrist. Yeah, you'll have 2 DWIs on your record, but a slap on the wrist, people will go wrap their cars around a pole the next week. I've seen it all too much. You know, my concern is on a slap on the wrist, have we really addressed the issue that needs what's going on as to why it continues to happen?
Yes.
You know, oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
No, we haven't. The idea is, and I'm being Mr. Jones, you know, when you take the easy way out or when you take a half-ass approach to something in life, you get a half-ass result, you know, whereas when you do something meaningful, maybe you'll get a better result. You know, if therapy, we do a TRAS and he does something like knocks their Aunt Connie socks off, perhaps it's only on 1 as opposed to 2. This now, even the faintest smell of alcohol, you're looking at 2 to 10 in the penitentiary for the rest of your life. No matter where you go, no matter what you're doing, no matter what the circumstances are. you're looking at a third degree felon next time. And the problem is, have we really addressed the issue? Nope.
Wasn't enough.
Yes, prior pen trip too. Could be, next time could be a 15 to life. For the faintest smell of alcohol.
Have a previous TBC.
25 years ago.
Don't matter.
So that means if you get a felony, if you get another DWI, it's automatically a felony, like we talked about. And then it would be enhanced.
Something that happened 25 years ago to now, I feel like you understand and you know a person.
Well, that's not what he's saying. He's saying he's trying to describe what you would be initially charged with if you were to get another DWI. That's what would be the charge. That's what would be the consequences in the next circumstance if it were to happen, which it's not. If that were to happen, that would be what you would be facing. That's all he's saying.
I totally understand.
It's putting yourself in a pretty tight.
I'm putting myself in anything. I know exactly what happened, just like I know what happened 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I've changed my whole life for prison. Just like you said, I've been employed with the same company for 13 years, 14 years since I've been home.
Mr. Jones.
His GPS, he's working from sun up to sundown. I think that's what's keeping him out of, I think that's helpful. And I think he's been doing good all these months.
I agree. You have been. But you don't get rewarded for following the law. We don't pat you on the back for following the law. The reward is you don't go to jail. But you have 2 open DWIs. You've got some history. The law never forgets. Ever. It doesn't matter if it's 10 years old. It doesn't matter if it's 20 years old. The problem is in life, you never know what's going to happen that's going to throw you into a loop and going to cause you to do something that you wouldn't normally do. The problem is when you do, if you do, the law doesn't forget. So if you go out and have just half a glass of wine and you get pulled over, what do you think is going to happen? What I'm trying to tell you is it could be a very, very lengthy prison sentence. And on a 15 to life case, the offers start at 10. That's my fear. Perhaps we could do something more worthwhile.
So as far as the consequences of another DWI, if he were to be on probation, it'd still be a conviction. So they wouldn't change his consequences.
But if we do significant, like a TRAS, significant, like sober court-ish, and just on one, as opposed to 2. What do you think of that versus this?
I can discuss it with him. We've kind of discussed it already, but we can discuss it again.
Even on one? I don't know if they'd be amenable to it, but
I can have a chat with them and my client.
Mr. Jones, I think this is a setup for failure, and I'm trying to prevent that from happening. The idea is to get to the root, get to the cause, figure out what's going on so we can deal with it. You can lie to me, but you can't lie to yourself, right?
Exactly.
At some point, something, and this is a setup for failure. I'm being honest. It is. Just see if he's amenable and go from there.